Hello everyone, welcome back. I just did part 1, 10 surprising scientific miracles in the Quran. I'm sure someone will tell me if they're wrong. Just like part 2, you'll let me know. Alright, before we get started, there's a thanks button on the channel. You can donate, you don't have to. If you do donate, you can request videos and you'll get your name sponsored by on the video. You can still request videos if you don't. Sorry, I felt like I was going to sneeze. You can still request videos. It just takes a little bit longer. Subscribe if you'd like to. And then bare minimum, if you could go down to this little guy right there. So there's the thanks button. You just click on that. Donate to my channel. My nose is... I'm going to sneeze. Let's just get into the video.
Those who follow the religion of Islam look to certain statements mentioned in the Quran, which they call miracles, to help uphold their position that the Quran is a divine book. And just like part 1, in this episode I'm going to be exploring 10 surprising and interesting scientific miracles in the Quran. Welcome back to another episode of FD Facts. My name is Leroy Kenton, and now let's jump into this one. I have a whole lot of information to go through, and yeah, it's going to be pretty jam-packed, but make sure you watch all the way from 10 to number 1 because it's pretty interesting. I don't want you to miss any of them. Miracle number 10 is the color of water. Years ago, people thought that water was just transparent. No one thought that the color of water could actually turn black. But scientists have actually discovered a new characteristic of water. At a higher pressure, the water molecules become half liquid and half solid. Now, what's called superionic water forms in higher temperatures and pressures. It's very dark and thicker than, well, water. And the Quran says that in the heat of hellfire, water actually looks really dark, like tar. It's mentioned in the Quran in Surah 18 verse 29. It says, "We have prepared for the unjust a fire whose curtains will hem them in. And when they cry for relief, they will be relieved with water like tar, which scald their faces." Number 9 is the process of photosynthesis. So photosynthesis is a process used by plants and other organisms to convert light energy into energy that they can use. And in the Quran, Surah 18 verse 35, it says, "And cite for them the parable of the present life. It is like water that we send down from the sky. The plants of the earth absorb it, but then it becomes debris scattered by the winds." Now, photosynthesis converts carbon dioxide and water into oxygen and sugar. Most of the water evaporates back into the atmosphere, which the term debris points to in the Quran. Gardens being therapeutic come in at number 8. Reductions in stress, as well as tiredness, depression, anger, anxiety, have all been documented when people actually go into gardens. Engagement with gardens has increasingly been recognized as not only a cost-effective health intervention, but also a treatment or occupational therapy for those with psychological health issues, and this is done with what is called horticultural therapy. Now, this statement comes from the National Center of Biotechnology Information. Gardening is beneficial for health, a meta-analysis published in 2016. And the Quran, Surah 27 verse 60, it says, "Or who created the heavens and the earth, and rains down water from the sky for you? With it produces joyful gardens whose trees you could not produce." Now, the term bahjat means joy or delight in Arabic, and that's the word used. So in this verse, gardens are actually bringing joy or delight, and since today's gardens are being prescribed as a natural antidepressant of sorts, Muslims view this as a miracle. Next up, we have meteorites. So when a meteor enters the atmosphere, the meteor heats up so much that it starts to shine, and then the air burns the meteor, and poof, nothing is left, right? In the Quran, Surah 52 verses 44, it says, "Even if they were to see lumps of the sky falling down, they would say, a mass of clouds." So people would think that they're clouds because of the ashes that are left after the meteor gets like, and Muslims say, yeah, that's a miracle. Miracle number 6 is female spiders spinning webs. It's generally accepted that adult female spiders spin the webs while adult males do not, outside of looking to mate. This is according to Speely, Do Only Female Spiders Build Webs, published in 2019, this year. And in the Quran, Surah 29 verse 41, it says, "The likeness of those who take to themselves protectors other than Allah is that of the spider. It builds a house, but the most fragile of houses is the spider's house. If they only knew." Now, when it says those who take, the term in Arabic is, it iktakata, and that's for males. Now, iktakatat is for females, and the Quran uses the female version. At number 5, we look at the mountains having roots as well as floating. So the highest point of the earth is in the Himalayas at Mount Everest, standing at 8.8 kilometers high. Now, this mountain has actually 250 kilometers of deep roots. This was recorded in Life Science Depth of Himalayan Mountain Roots Revealed back in the year 2010. Now, the Quran in 2 places says mountains as pegs, as well as it says, and mountains he anchored. So pegs are used to hold a tent or something in place, and pegs have a part of it above the ground as well as another part that's into the ground, and the Arabic word means anchored, and this is actually a term that applies to ships floating on water, like when they're anchored to land. So similarly, this is how mountains or other landforms really actually float above a semi-molten asthenosphere. Yeah, Google that term, asthenosphere. Female ants come in at number 4. So check this. All male ants have wings. All worker ants are females, and all ants that don't have wings are females. Now in the Quran, Surah 27 verse 18, it mentions this. Until when they came upon the valley of ants, and the ants said, "O ants, enter your homes so that you do not be crushed by Solomon and his soldiers while they do not feel it." Now for the word said, kala is for males and kalat is for females. Now the Quran of course uses kalat for females, so if the ants actually had wings, it would have just flown away. However, they didn't have an option in this context in the Quran, but rather they had to go and hide into their home. So Muslims believe that the ant is correctly addressed as a female in this passage, which they identify as being another miracle. Number 3, the universe is expanding. So scientists today do not know what dark energy actually is, but they do know, however, that it exists and it's causing the entire universe to expand. In the Quran, Surah 51 verse 47, it says, "And the heaven we built with craftsmanship, and we are still expanding." The Quran also said that everything is made of pairs, and today we know that all matter is...
I read it as everything is in pairs. I was like, really? That's crazy. That's what happens when you just kind of glance at a word and you run with it.
Actually in pairs, so matter and antimatter, electrons and positrons, and so on. And in the Quran, Surah 36 verse 36, it says, "Glory to him who created in pairs all things that the land produces, and their own kind, and other things of that they have no knowledge of." And finally, at number 1, continental drift. So back in the year 2014, the National Geographic published "How do we know the continents are moving?" And this is what they said. 50 years ago, continental drift was a fringe hypothesis rejected by most geologists. Today, the theory of plate tectonics is universally accepted as true and unifies one separate areas of geology under one grand banner. There are mountains of evidence that plate tectonics had taken place in our planet's past. Now, the Muslims point to Quran 27 verses 88, and it says, "You see the mountains and think they are firmly fixed, but they are moving away just like the clouds are moving away." Alright guys, so that's another fascinating episode.
Everything's moving away from Paris. Yep, I can't believe I just read that. Everything is in Paris. And then I read that and I thought, what? And then I read it again and I was like, pears. I'm a dope, apparently. Wow. All right. I don't remember that thing about the ants. Or I've never heard them. Come on. Everything's in Paris. I think I've heard about the expanding universe through there. The female ants. Mountains have root. Female spiders, I don't remember. Meteorites. Gardens are therapeutic, I don't remember. Photosynthesis, I do remember that one. Color of water. Maybe. I don't remember. It's interesting. All right. Well, tell me, is it wrong? Is he right? You can't lie on YouTube, so apparently he's right. So, we're going to end this one here. I didn't talk a whole lot just because I find some of this stuff interesting. So I just sit here and then I realize afterwards, oh yeah, stupid, you should have spoke. But it's too late now. Well, anyways, until next time, I'm going to keep doing videos from this channel. But until next time, have a good day, have a good night.